Hey guys, Red Panda Gamer here for the first episode of Play or Pass, the show where I'll be playing games for you to show you guys whether or not you should actually spend your hard-earned Microsoft Wii points, PlayStation Network points, whatever they're called, on games that come out digitally, physically, whichever. And today's first episode, we're going to be showing off Double Dragon Neon. I've almost beaten the whole game, which is kind of silly that I haven't beaten the whole game because it's relatively short. I'm going to go ahead and just show off a couple levels, starting with the first one. It's not really going to spoil anything. This game doesn't really have anything worth spoiling, but I've played enough of the game to get a good opinion of it. And yeah, I'm kind of here to tell you guys whether or not you should actually buy it. The basic story of the game is that your character's girlfriend gets punched in the stomach, and you have to go save her. Don't really know why she's dressed that way out in public, but that's beside the point. And silly enough, we actually walk when we have a freaking badass car over there. But fine. It's a joke. It's a parody. Say what you want. It's pretty hilarious. So this game is, in case you didn't know, basically based off of classic beat-em-ups of our youth, or my youth, I guess. Probably not of a lot of your youths. And unfortunately, the beat-em-up style game is a dying breed that you really don't see that often anymore. And when you do, it's normally a lot different than the old beat-em-ups. Very rarely do you just get a straight traditional beat-em-up. I mean, you really don't see them anymore, which is okay. I mean, the 90s really honestly did a lot of beat-em-ups. I mean, if you look back in time, beat-em-ups were huge back in the day. So I'm not really surprised we don't see them very often anymore, but at the same time, it's kind of odd how they just kind of disappeared. I mean, some notable really good beat-em-ups that are around now. Castle Crashers, I don't technically consider it a beat-em-up, but I mean it is by definition a beat-em-up. But at the same time, it's not really a beat-em-up. But less about and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is probably the other like really great beat-em-up they had that had come out recently. But enough about that. Let's talk about this game. Let you guys know whether you should buy it. It's 800 Microsoft points, which is $10, which in my opinion is an unbelievable deal. Some reviews have come out on this game saying it's not very good. Specifically, a IGN review where the guy gave it a horrible score and they put it on the front page of the website, and I think that is very messed up. And you know, a lot of people are like, well, he has his own opinion, which I totally agree with. Like, obviously, you guys can disagree. You guys can say you don't really like the game. It's not really your type of game, because not everyone likes beat-em-ups. Not everyone's very good at beat-em-ups, because beat-em-ups are actually kind of hard games, and if you don't really have the patience for them, I mean, you're going to die every now and then. You're going to have to start over every now and then, and you're going to have to, you know, be able to go back and play more. Like, you're going to have to want to do the same levels over and over again if you lose. Unlikely you will lose. I mean, this game really isn't that hard. Typically, they'll give you more lives if you die. But overall, it's not that bad. You can pick up weapons in the streets with your grab button. I don't think I've shown grabs yet. But yeah, you can use different weapons like this whip, or like we saw earlier, we had a baseball bat. And the weapons obviously add actually quite a bit of dynamic play to it. But crab stuff, we get a key that we use to unlock the chest. Oh, I meant to show you what else you can do with that, but I'll show you that later. But yeah, so classic beat-em-up style, I really like this game, and the fact that it's only $10, in my opinion, makes it totally worth it. It's a really fun game to play with other people. Sadly, for this video, I don't have anyone to play with right now. I figured it'd be best just to show it by myself, because really, I don't like reviewing games based on a multiplayer experience, because you can't really judge a game. Oh god. You can't really judge a game based on a multiplayer experience because, well, that's not really the experience that should have been developed, in my opinion. Oftentimes, I have a problem with games that are built completely around a multiplayer system, unless, I mean, with digital games, it's a little more understandable. But, like, when you have, like, games like Call of Duty that are completely based around their online experience, I kind of dislike that a bit. But we're not really here to talk about Call of Duty. I'm just giving you an opinion on another game that does something that I'm glad this game doesn't. This game has a very rewarding one-player mode, and it's really not all that bad to play on your own. And actually, if anything, since your sprites are not sprites, but since your characters are kind of large, it can be a little difficult at times. And unfortunately, they don't shrink the screen at all when you're playing with someone else, which is something I would recommend. But it's still really fun in multiplayer. No latency issues as far as I noticed. Then again, the people I played with have very good internet connections. Break up the trash cans to get what's inside. That was a Bobo. Something else I really find interesting in this game is how they translate the old game into the new game. A Bobo, if you've never played the originals, does not look anything like that, but he definitely does resemble it. but I mean, I just think it's really cool how they reinvent some of these characters, but they still keep so much of their own image. I think that's really important when you remake a game, or not really remake, but revamp a game. And this game was made by Wayforward Studios, which they are just incredible. Or I guess I think they're Wayforward Company or Corporation or something. I don't remember what they actually go by. But they make some really fantastic games. And actually, they made the Batman Brave and the Bold beat-em-up side-scroller, which, if you've never played it, is fantastic. Check out that game if you want a good side-scroller. Then again, this one is $10, which is, aha, you fell down the hole. This, of course, also is classic Double Dragon level style. No, what the fuck? Okay. I should probably also talk about the cassettes. Cassettes basically allow you to unlock special moves, special stances. So you have stuff like powers up evenly across all stats. So it gives us, helps us gain levels. But yeah, basically we have all these different cassettes that give us different things. And this one, the Sosetsutsu, gives us more. But see, like Fireball we have right now. Pretty sure all you gotta do is push. Let me get to an enemy so I don't waste it. And at some point I guess we picked up a life. This game is pretty easy about it. Oh, this is pretty cool. You get to juggle this for money. I'm not really good at it. Maybe I can get it. There we go. Yeah, that was bad. I'm not really fast. See, that's another thing. This game, I mean, beat-em-ups are never really that fast, so it's not really that big of a deal. But for me, it's kind of difficult. So we completed the stage. First stage is pretty short. They get very long later in the game, though. I think there's 10 stages, and as you get farther, the levels get longer and longer. So I'll go ahead and skip back alleys for now. Go ahead and check out Space Layer. It's a pretty cool level. But yeah, this game is really good. Classic beat 'em up. I feel like I keep repeating myself. I'm a little rough on this. Normally when I do reviews, it's more of a scripted, it's very simple reading exercise. That's the main villain of the game, by the way. Well, as far as you know, at first. And yeah, see, as you can see now that we're only like one level farther, 2 levels farther, and they definitely add a lot more to the game as far as traps go. We also get more enemies. These are the hover bizzles. They're really easy to kill, though. All you really gotta do is grab them with the B button on the Xbox controller. Circle, I believe, on PlayStation controller. This game is available on PlayStation Network, Xbox 360. No, it's not available on Steam. I don't know if it will be available on Steam, which is unfortunate, but what are you gonna do? But yeah, it's $10. I keep saying 800 Microsoft points because that's what I paid for it, but the grab is really useful too. Being able to throw enemies into other enemies to interrupt their attack, so you can focus on one character. It can be a little difficult, as I said, but when you play with more than by yourself, play with someone else. Pretty sure they add more enemies, at least an extra enemy or two, just so it's not too easy. But obviously this game is a lot easier if you're playing with someone else, because you can kind of cover each other's backs. It may not seem too difficult now, but the game does get pretty difficult in the last couple levels. And there are a lot of tapes to collect. The tapes kind of bring up another pretty good point. That was a life I just picked up. You almost always pick up a life in a level, and especially if you die. So we have these most refined Ichisumi. So yeah, you have a bunch of different characters that are all very obvious in view, like what they look like, so you'll know what you're getting when you fight them. You can also throw your weapons, which can be relatively helpful, like for enemies like this, who I can't even seem to hit. Oh, I meant to show off what you can do with the Fireball. So it's RB, LB probably with PlayStation controller, but you can shoot fireballs. That's the power we have now. Unfortunately, our charge is pretty low. But yeah, different power-ups. I mean, there's like a spin kick and a couple other things. We got the fan. It sounds like the Crash Bandicoot spin. Kind of interesting. But I think this game's really great, and with the cassettes, it brings up 2 points. Replayability, like I said, this game is pretty short. Some people I know have beaten it in like, I don't know, in 2 hours, hour and a half is the fastest I've heard of it being beaten. I'm sure you can beat it faster, especially if you're doing co-op. But, you know, this isn't really a game meant to be beaten like over the course of like a month. This is the kind of game you're supposed to beat like in a playthrough, you know, with your buddies. Which I actually really like games like that. I think there's a lot of room for games that aren't based on like, we're gonna make someone spend the next year of their life trying to complete, like Skyrim. Instead, you know, make a short, simple game. Like, that's all some people want. That's all I want sometimes from a digital game. A game I can pick up and beat in one sitting. I like that a lot in a game. But at the same time, there's also a lot of replayability to it once you get more abilities with the cassette players. I keep saying cassette players, cassette tapes. A little bit of platforming right there, which I actually think is really cool. They added that to the game. I don't like this enemy at all. Yeah, you definitely want to make sure you knock out all the... Well, I think you have to knock out all the enemies to move forward. I mean, this is a beat 'em up. Typically, that's how they work. Comboing's pretty important, but I mean, with some of these enemies, you can really only combo some. What the hell? I was stabbing her! Shit. Alright. But yeah, Wayforward made this game. Wayforward makes Wayforward honestly makes some of the best games these days. Like, they are so consistent with good games, and they're able to take franchises on and actually make good games out of them rather than crappy ports or anything like, well, ports, but not really ports. Actual games that are based on stuff. Great revamp, what's the word? I don't want to say remake. Reboot! That's the word I've been looking for. This is a great reboot of the series. I mean, I don't think they're going to make another one. I think this is a one-time thing, which is okay. I mean, with games like this, you really don't need to make more, because they kind of made their point. I definitely feel like they achieved what they were going for with this. Yeah, see, that was your first death, I guess, but, I mean, if you die, it's okay. You just start right back up from where you left off. No shame in dying every now and then. But if you're listening to the music and you're listening to some of the dialogue you hear of my character, like he says like home run and stuff like that, a lot of the humor in this game is based off the 80s. In general, like a lot of this game is making fun of the 80s, which I love. I love that it can poke fun at that. And I love how that's something more for the older gamers. Like obviously kids aren't going to get much about the 80s. I mean, I was born like the year after the 80s, born 1990, but I still get a lot of the 80s humor. I mean, I grew up on a lot of 80s movies. Like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was like my favorite thing of all time when I was young, so I understand quite a bit of the humor. And not necessarily all kids will, but kids should still appreciate the gameplay style. I mean, the gameplay in this is really solid. That's just my opinion, though. So, I mean, you get something for everyone. You get a little bit of an education if you don't know anything about the 80s. Weird, bright colors, and horrible dialogue. And if you're from the 80s and you spoke this way, I am not poking fun, I'm simply stating that that is somewhat of a true fact. What are we doing? Alright, I had the same issue. That is one small thing, is it can be a little difficult to notice what you're supposed to climb up or not. Oh, so this is kind of cool. So if you take the key... So yeah, I think it's kind of funny. You can use the key on things, and then you, of course, use it on the actual chest. So see, stuff like that, I love when games put stuff like that, such a nice attention to detail. Like, okay, no one's probably going to put the key in the garbage can, but you never know. But I don't know if I ever finished making this point, but there's a lot of replayability in this game with the cassettes. Because, you know, you're not going to unlock all the cassettes on your first playthrough, and your cassettes get more powerful as you play. Like, they level up, just like, oh shit, like RPG style. Which I love, and then so, you know, your fireball gets better, your spin kick gets better. Speaking of my fireball, I might as well use it. I always have it and I never use it. See, that was one shot. Like, I didn't hit her at all and she died in one hit. Because I think I've been using the fireball, like, since I got it, like, an hour ago or whatever, when I originally played this. But no, I really do love this game. I feel like I can't say that enough. The only complaints I have, I mean, it is kind of short, but like I said, it's a good and a bad thing that it's so short, because you're going to be spending $10 on this game, but at the same time, you're going to get probably, if you play it by yourself, and you play it with a friend, and you play it with another friend, and, you know, maybe try doing it faster, maybe you try doing it without taking as much damage, maybe try and getting all the cassettes, getting all the moves, getting, like, the fireball as good as it can get, you know, in general. And the achievements, there's a lot of achievements that are actually pretty hard to get. I'll show you the achievement screen in a minute. But, I mean, I've practically beat the game, done a lot of different stuff with it, and I still haven't really done all that much. Or I still haven't really, I think I've only unlocked like 5 achievements after 2 hours of gameplay or so. Shit. Bobo's kind of a pain. But yeah, I don't know if I explained this, but yeah, there's a dodge mechanism, which that is kind of something I have an issue with. The dodge mechanic is a little weird, because you dodge a move, a specific move, like that, you get like double power up, like when you have that orange aura around you. I just got juggled the shit out of it. But yeah, you get this glow. Oh, here, let me try and do it again. See, it's very specific. Like, it doesn't necessarily give it to you if you dodge an attack. Like, I don't really know what they want. I mean, I dodged it, so why not? See, I dodged it, but I guess it wasn't a near enough miss. There we go. So you get that orange aura around you, and it basically like doubles your attack power. I don't know if it's double or like 1.5, but it basically makes your attack a lot stronger. Simply enough put. And I like that they add that to it, but at the same time they give you a very simple concept to do it. But at the same time, it doesn't always necessarily work like it should. There we go. I guess this is the right way to do this. Bounce it off the shit. I messed up. Bouncing it off the wall seems to work better than trying to run across the other side of the stage. Aw, yeah. Looks like Skeletor, which I think is the joke. But you see, like, air guitar and, like, the dragons themselves. Like, everything about this game just screams 80s. Like, the purple neon letters, the font that they choose to use. I even love, like, the reference, like, with the Sprite character from the Nintendo days. I think it's really cool. But, yeah, my only complaint about the game is probably... Oh, I've only played an hour and 15 minutes. Feels like way longer. But my only complaint about the game is the blocking structure, like, the dodge structure. Like, it seems odd. Like, they say it's as simple as just dodge the attack. Well, okay. But then when you dodge the attack, it doesn't actually do anything, like, at first, and you have to get a very specific dodge. As you saw, it took me, even though I dodged like 5 times, I never really got it, and if you get hit, you typically lose the ability by the time it runs out. And in a way, I guess it's because, well, we want to make sure that there's a reward for dodging, you know, so to make people dodge, so that's smart in itself. But at the same time, if the reward doesn't pay off very often, it almost seems like it's a broken mechanic. And then it kind of makes you not even want to try it anymore. But overall, I like it. It's, like I said, it adds a lot of interesting... it makes you maneuver more than you really would in a lot of these. Like, I always remember, like, in these types of games, I never block, I never dodge roll, nothing. Like, I'd have the ability to, I just never really wanted to. Like, I'd rather just keep fighting. Which is when you inevitably lose. Like, you gotta be smart and dodge. Like, that's the issue I was having later in the game, was I'd never dodged, and I actually even forgot that you can dodge in this game. So, you definitely need to dodge. And, like, doing your low kicks like that. See, and that's the other thing. There's a lot of moves in this game you might not even realize until you're, like, doing them on accident. You're like, how did I do that? But you might not have known that there was a sweeping the leg Johnny kick from Karate Kid, since we were talking about the 80s earlier. There's also a ground punch, which I just think is horribly brutal and, like, the best way to just... Let me get it again. I think it's hilarious, the ground stomp, or ground punch. Shit, this bitch kick my ass. There we go. But yeah, you just... Oh, I missed. And I somehow missed that also. Did she die? I want to... Yeah, oh god. Yeah, that's right. Some enemies get up too fast and you're really not able to do that. There we go. See, that's just a brutal move. Yeah, see, and I love the difficulty curve in this game. I love that they'll give you this one enemy. Like, they'll introduce a new enemy to you. Like they just did. And then they'll give you probably 2 fights with them to make sure you understand, like, okay, this is how you fight these characters. This is what you can do. This is what you can't do. This is what you can get away with. This is what you can't get away with them. And then they're like, okay, you think you got it? Okay, well, we're going to make you fight 2 of them. Or we're going to make you fight 3 of them and 1 extra enemy. So it's interesting that, like, you know, they introduce you to this character. Typically, it's in a way that you can almost always beat them, unless you're terrible at the game, which I'm assuming the guy from IGN is. And then they just put you in a higher situation, and that's it. Then you expect that. You're not surprised when you get that. The weapons I kind of like, but at the same time, I never really use the weapons because I don't always necessarily feel like they give that much of an edge to me. The boomerang I do actually really like, though, except for when it does what it just did and just flies off the screen like that. It's really good for enemies like that. Also, another thing that can be a little unclear is some weapons you just throw no matter what. Like, you can push A, or you can push X to hit, or you can push B to throw it. But not necessarily all weapons are, like, strikeable, so you just end up throwing everything. But you don't really know that, and you're not always necessarily... I mean, you obviously figure that out in using it, but... Also, that was another thing. Boss fights are weird. They're very inconsistent. Like, sometimes you get boss fights, sometimes you don't. And I'm not sure if I really like that. I'd prefer always having a boss fight, even if it was just simple. Like, that was one of the things I always liked about Final Fight. Final Fight also always had, like, some form of a boss fight, even if it was a very... Oh, Jesus. Even if, obviously, right now we have a boss fight, but I think there's really only, like, 4 boss fights total, which is odd because some levels have them, some levels don't. I mean, you can argue that, like, a Bobo is kind of a boss, and later he just becomes, like, a normal spawning enemy, which is kind of funny to think. That's what these kind of games do, you know, they introduce you to an enemy, and they, like, expect you to think, oh, they're super challenging, and then you get the same exact enemy in a different environment. Let me see if I can show you some more cassettes, attack cassettes anyway. This one's Song Snatch. Use the move to make enemy drop an item. So, I don't really like that one that much. 1-inch punch. So I can show you that one real quick. Oh, jeez. I just died. No, I missed! So, this is a move apparently you have to do very close, which is obviously not that easy to do. The music too, as I said, this game is kind of like a reference to the 80s, and the music itself very much is. And that actually, I love it. The music is done by the guy who does pretty much all the music for Wayforward's game. His name is Jake Kaufman. Makes unbelievable music. He did Mighty Switch Force, Boy and His Blob, actually all the Mighty games. Boy and His Blob, what else did he do? He's just done a lot of really good soundtracks. He's very talented, and this one especially is really good. I think it's free for download, but I could be wrong on his Bandcamp page. If you just search Jake Kaufman, you can easily find his music. It's all really good, and this game is no exception. And actually, I like the idea of the music in this one. It's supposed to be somewhat of an 80s reference, but still not so like aged that people like, what the hell is... There you go, 1-inch punch. That one's kind of cool. Some may be more useful to you than others. I guess it really just depends on your style and how you play the game. Let me just look at one more. I don't want to give away too much, obviously. Drop from the air. Okay, so we can show this one real quick. And then I think I'm going to wrap up the video. Overall, I definitely say pass. Or not pass. When I was thinking pass, I meant pass. I thought pass or fail. I definitely mean, oh yeah, you get like root beer for health. Like that's just very 80s in what I've seen. But anyway, I definitely feel like this game deserves to be played. I kind of wish it was out for PCs, but unfortunately most Wayforward games don't come out on PC, I guess. But that's okay. Overall, I really do love it, in case I haven't gloated over it enough. I swear this series isn't going to just become Jake gloats over every game that it has a retro feel to it. Because, to be honest, there's a lot of games out there that are bad. And actually, I really did have my doubts on this game. I thought maybe it was just going to be very gimmicky. That wasn't until I found out Wayforward. Because I feel like Wayforward just makes the best games ever. Not ever, but they make very good games. They're one of the few developers out there that can make consistent, really good games. But I definitely say to play it. At least try the demo out on PlayStation Network or Xbox 360. You might be surprised. Maybe this is just a game you'll want to play with your friends. You are able to play it Xbox Live, on Xbox Live, which is great because I'm noticing there's a lot of games coming out lately that only allow local co-op, and I really don't understand what's up with that. Especially like my favorite game that came out this year, Spelunky for Xbox Live Arcade, only had local co-op, which really was a bummer. Because, I mean, oh yeah, that's a good move. I forgot about that move. See, you forget about moves. Like you just, yeah, I didn't even show any kicking. Oh my god. I feel horrible. Well, at least I'm showing it now. Yeah, kicks are like a longer range, higher damage move, and they do a spin kick and hurt all the enemies around you. Jeez, what a terrible reviewer I am. But yeah, I definitely do recommend this game, especially the 800 Microsoft point price, the $10 price point, I should say. It's really fun. It's a blast of nostalgia, and in general, if you've never played a Double Dragons game or beat 'em up before, it's a great place to start. You're gonna struggle with it. You're probably gonna die every now and then, especially if you're playing by yourself. But overall, for me, that just adds to the experience. You know, they expect you to die. They expect you to have to start over, and that's supposed to add to the life of the game. Not that that's okay. I feel like it's a little cheap of a way to expand, but, you know, that's the genre. You have to pay a certain amount of... They weren't trying to fix the genre. They weren't trying to change the genre. They were just trying to make another beat-em-up, another classic beat-em-up, and I definitely think they succeeded with that, and that's why I recommend it to you. Now, if this was something like 1,600 Microsoft points or 1,400 Microsoft points, or 1,400, I'm sorry, 1,600 Microsoft points, $20, then I probably wouldn't recommend it, but it's not, and I love it, and I totally do recommend it. So yeah, definitely go buy it, or at least try it out. But I definitely give it a pay, not a pass, in this scenario. Or play. I was stuck between calling the series play or pass, or pay or pass, but then I realized I might do like free games and stuff like that, so it wouldn't really make a lot of sense if I was doing a free game and said pay instead of, or play. If I said pay instead of pass. So I give it a play, because I definitely think you guys should try it out, especially those of you, you know, it's perfect. It's perfect for someone who maybe never played a beat-em-up, and it's great for people who love beat-em-ups. It's not perfect, I won't say that, but it is worth your time. Because not a lot of beat-em-ups come out, and now that there actually is one for people to play, I definitely think it deserves your time. So guys, I'm Panda Gamer. If there's any games you would like me to try out, it has to be a newer game. That's kind of the whole point of this, is to get people exposed to a newer game. Oh, jeez. I don't like doing this ball juggling minigame. Jeez. I keep forgetting I could have kicked it. Oh well. But yeah, if you guys have any newer games coming out that you'd like to see a review on, pass or play to, let me know in the comments below. And if you have this game, or you're thinking about getting this game, or you have a question on the game, go ahead and comment below. I read all my comments, and I will probably reply if you have a question about it, or just a general statement, or a general comment. So guys, thank you all so much for watching. I'm Panda Gamer. Please like this video if you like this video. Comment, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Do whatever you gotta do to show your love. See you next time. Bye.